I had a day away again yesterday with Richard, doing some work on the steam wagon, actually taking the engine apart. We took the cylinders of it. I put a video up the middle of last week, showing taking the carb off and the water tank and whatnot, and I spent a lot of time editing the swearing out. I don't know what it is, but when men are working together like that, they do tend to swear. It's like a mixed feeling on this. I'm not quite sure what to do. A lot of people have said just leave the swearing in and put a warning on. So I think that's what I'll do this week. Perhaps you might have a view on it. What I mean, it will be proper swearing. There'll be no C words, though. I'll do it like a C word, I'll take that out. But the rest of it will all be there. We're not going to swear for swearing's sake. It just sort of happens when we're working together. I don't know why it is. So anyway, if you think I should leave the swearing in, just send a message, post a comment and say yeah, leave it in. But I think that's what's going to happen, and I'll just put a warning on it. There's swearing. There's more swearing on the television than there is on my videos. I've got a couple of taper shank drills here, and what I need to do is cut the more taper part off and machine this down so it'll fit into a 1/2 inch drill chuck. I don't make drills by the way that I've been asked to do them for somebody, so what I will do, I'll keep the Morse taper parts because these are handy for obviously making Morse taper tooling, but that also is the same grade of steel that the drill is made out of, so you can make tools out of that because it is machinable. Then you can harden it. That's soft there, and it gets hard down towards obviously the business part of the drill. So I'll part this off here and machine these short 1/2 inch stub on there, and I'll have that piece there to play with. I think before I part it off, I'll actually polish that up just to clean it up. It's had a bit of a miserable life, but it is there's some nasty dings in there and the tang's all twisted. It's probably not worth it, but it's certainly worth keeping as a piece of good quality steel. As you can see, I've got it mounted in my new 4-jaw self-centering chuck. People ask why I wanted a 4-jaw self-centering chuck. Obviously you can grip square parts in it very quickly. It also gets a much stronger hold than a 3-jaw chuck, and it's ideal for gripping tube. It doesn't have a tendency to crush in the tube that a 3-jaw chuck has. Right, so I'll set my parting tool up, part this off, turn it down to 1/2 inch. The parting tool must be on centre height. It also must be square to the axis of the job. This is one way of doing it. There's several ways. This way works. Bastard. This way works. Simply a square against the chuck, and that goes against the blade of the tool. Nip that up, and that's got to be at 90 degrees to the workpiece. Going to make the slot a little bit bigger just so that there's more room for the chips to come out. We'll part off right in the centre of that. This is running at 90 RPM. And obviously as it gets closer towards the centre, your surface speed slows down. It's cutting quite nicely. I'm keeping a nice even pressure on it. As you can see, this material is quite nice to machine. It is very handy for making tools out of. Nearly off. Just going to finish it off with a hacksaw. I'll snap it off because I don't want that bit stuck around on top of the lathe bed. With a parting tool set up, I'll cut the other one as well. Quite pleased with this chuck. It's within 2 or 3 thou. It's nice and accurate. Right, we've got them beheaded. We'll just face the end off now. Right, and it turned out a 1/2 inch or 13mm. Time for a measure. You need 2mm off it. Go to 1 cut. I'm just going to put a centre drill in the end of it. You never know when you might need a centre drill. Basically anything I machine in the lathe, if I can, I put a centre drill mark into it. Means I've got to put it back in the lathe so they're easier to line up. It only takes seconds, so you might as well do it. Right, now I'll put a chamfer on that edge and a chamfer on that edge there. One down, one to go. Shadow that's for myself. Now I mean, he's obviously got a use for them. Quite nicely sharp on these drills as well. Sure, the lad that was here last week, the lad that donated the batty DTI stand and all the clock gauges, Also brought this for us to have a look at. We've got some ideas to what it could be. It's got a clamp on so you can clamp onto a bench or a table. It's got a revolving head, and it's got a cutter in there, and it's indexable in 2 planes. I'll get some close-up shots of it, and perhaps you can tell us what you think it's for. Perhaps you can use it. I'd love to see it be used for its proper purpose instead of just lining if you just line a cover here. I'll know I get to use it. I'll bring the camera in, get some close-up shots of it. Quite an interesting looking device. It's got a flat face on there with 2 little clamps. We thought it was possibly for putting a clock face on, a clock glass or a clock face. As you can see, these two, it's seized up, but it would free off. But they've got micro adjusters on there. It's got a vernier on it. Nicely made, brass and steel. Once again, it looks old, but it hasn't had a great lot of use, I wouldn't have thought. Quite an interesting device. I've been asked to repair this. I'm sure a lot of you lads will recognise it as being a reversing lever for Bridgeport. They seem to be very expensive if you can get a one. So I think what I'll do, I'll clean up the 2 edges, TIG weld it together to get a tack on it, and then grind it out there with a die grinder, and so I can get a decent weld on it. It should weld alright. You generally find aluminium used for this sort of application is reasonably decent stuff. You can see it fits together quite nicely with the way the crack is. I managed to make a simple fixture just using a clamp down bolt just to hold it in the correct position before I weld it, which means I can lay this out, get that back to nice clean metal, weld this side, turn it around, weld the other side, and it's going to stop lined up, hopefully. I'm going to rotary burr and just clean that up in there. When you're doing aluminium repairs like this, you've got to do a fair bit of damage before you actually start to repair something. So I've gone roughly halfway through, which means I can weld this up, turn it over, grind it back out and weld it back up. I'll wash this out with alcohol, or I've got some acetone, use acetone to clean that before I weld it. Really is decent quality aluminium. That's welded quite nicely. I'll do the two sides and I'll try and get some video through the lens, so to speak. And I'm welding this with a silicon based rod. See, that's welded quite nicely, but bloody warm. Christ. See the joint at the back, just being this out and weld back into the original weld material. I normally use a WD-40 when I'm grinding aluminium, or when I'm using a burn aluminium to stop that from happening. The trouble is, if I put WD-40 on here, I'll have problems welding it. I'll try and set the camera up so I can actually get a shot of the actual weld process. Right, that's welded very nicely. You can see how it's nice, clean, shiny aluminium. But you can also still see how the shite's coming out of the aluminium, the black bits. But that's welded beautiful. It's right through, 100% penetration. I can virtually guarantee, in fact I will guarantee that job won't break. I'll leave it like that in the lather runs. I can file it up and dress it up and polish it. And basically once it's cleaned up and polished, you'll never know it's been broken. Once again, it's just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for clicking the like button, and as always a massive thanks for all the well wishes that are still coming in towards me wife Deb and me dad. Thanks very much.
Do I look alright with me hat on?
Aye.
Take a picture and then I come over there.
There's more swearing on the television than there is on my videos, but I try not to swear on the nightcaps because I do know that there's a lot of children watch these as well. And you don't want the little bastards hearing me swear, do you?